while we're talking about latching up stitches, I want to show you one of the methods that I use to increase the pressability, so to speak, of the cables, to reduce some of the strain on the stitches. I'll use these hand knitting split ring stitch holders, or stitch markers actually, to remove the stitch on either side of the cable so that I can cross this 3x3 cable with far less strain than we had previously, because it's able to pull some of the slack out of those stitches alongside. And then I'll leave these needles back in work position, the empty needles, because I want them to cast on so that they form the same size stitch. I knitted 2 rows out of my 6 after crossing the cable, which crossed a whole lot more easily. And then I will carefully transfer the stitch from this split ring marker onto the latch tool, and then latch up alongside. So I'll still get the purl stitch, or the tuck stitch if you choose, alongside the cable. And while I may experience a little bit of pull here, I've eliminated any of the pull alongside the cable. I never leave just an empty needle for a ladder alongside a cable. I don't like the way it looks. I think that it softens the crunch, so to speak, of the cable, because they don't have enough tension to help the stitches stand up. The cables don't have enough tension on them because the stitches aren't snug enough to make the cables stand up and kind of pucker on the surface. So I'll do my latching up after I've crossed the cable, and then maybe just leave it on here. Leave my rings right in place so I don't lose them. And I knitted 2 rows there. So 3, 4, 5, 6. Drop the stitch on either side. Across the cable so easily. And then if I wanted to let this go maybe twice as long, let's see what happens. So I'm going to knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is going to give me the position where I want to cross, but I'm going to drop the stitches first. Cross my cable. And then I could latch up the stitch now, but it's going to be tight right up here near the cable. So that's why I usually put in 2 rows, and then I'll go over here, pick up off of the split ring, and latch up. I still have 4 more rows to knit up at the top, I know that, but it would be much too difficult to do this latching up in the same row as the cable crossing. And again, you can either pop the stitch onto the needle or put it right back onto the split ring. Let's drop this in. You can put it right back onto the split ring so you're in position for the next crossing. Up to you. But you do want to make sure that the needle on either side of the cable is always in working position, because the bars of the ladder that are formed by dropping a stitch are bigger than the bars you would get just by leaving a needle out of work. And it's that extra length. Oh, here, we were going to put this one on. It's that extra length that's really going to make the difference here. So I could leave this hanging here the whole time that I'm working, as long as the needle stays in work position to form bigger loops that can then be dropped.